So cancel that. That one. That one. That one. Hey. Headphones today. Because we're doing some stuff. Alrighty. I'm on time and everything. Awesome. I'm going to give it 1 minute, maybe 2, and I'm going to get started right away. Because 9 times out of 10, these are mostly viewed as VODs. So I don't want too much fluff at the beginning for people to skip. So if you're watching this in perpetuity, is that the right word? Yeah, skip ahead about a minute. But happy Monday. It's a good Monday for me. I had some lessons this morning. Trying to figure out what to do on the live stream today because I didn't do one last week because it was Canada Day and I took the day off completely. Sort of. Had to, first day of the month. So had to do some rent checks and things like that and take care of a few bits of bureaucracy. But for the most part, I had, 23 hours off. It was great. And I didn't feel like doing a live stream, but I'm going to do one today. And we're going to get into it in just a moment. Hopefully, y'all can hear that by the look of it. Delete. Because we're going to talk about, a bunch of stuff today, but get into a bit more of my area of expertise, and that is theory. Now, theory, for most people, sounds like learning how to read sheet music, and it kind of is. The way to look at music theory in general is theory came after music, and now we use it as a tool when it comes to music, right? Just like a scientific theory, right? That's like a well-explored, technically, a hypothesis is the educated guess. A theory is a little more sussed out than that. Anyway, if you learn theory, you learn what the box is. So if you want to think outside the box, it actually becomes a lot easier, in my opinion, if you know theory. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about some music theory, specifically regarding drums, phrasing, and song structure. The reason I want to do those is they are very important from a theory perspective, but they're also really important for composers, DJs, producers, right? And when I say producers in this case, I mean beat makers, that kind of thing. Like I'm making my own stuff at home, not I'm the record producer standing in the back of the room saying yes or no to different takes, right? That word kind of has become a little bit everywhere. So let's jump into it a little bit, change the view up here. Wow. Now, I'm using Mixcraft, as you can see. You can use whatever DAW you like. Oh, it has an update. I will do that later. But in your DAW, you should have some type of sequencer. I have this in a performance mode to give me these blocks here so I can make different beats and stuff, which we're going to find are going to come heavily in handy. So let us begin, because it is the only way to do it. We're going to be staying in 4/4 time. Now, 4/4 time, you've heard it a bajillion times, you just don't realize it, is the most common time signature to the point where it's often called common time. Means 4 quarter notes. Does not mean 4 quarters from a theory perspective, from a, not theory perspective in this case, a proper notation perspective. These should be written over top of each other without a line in the middle because that turns it into a fraction, but I don't care, and neither does this. So this means 4 beats per bar, and a quarter note, which is this guy here, gets that beat. That sounds like this. Where's my kick drum? Yeah, technically those are eighth notes, but yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is your basic 4/4 time. Right? We have these whole notes. Takes up 4 beats. You can see that down here. Half notes takes up 2 beats. Quarter takes up 1. Right? And that's what I should have done all these as for our demonstration today. Even though they're going to sound exactly the same. But we'll get to that later. With drums, they're going to sound exactly the same. They will not sound the same for piano. But we're starting off on drums today. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And that's kind of the gist of 4/4 time, right? You can have whole notes, half notes, quarter notes. But then we have these fractional eighth notes, 16ths, 30 seconds. So if I zoom in a little bit here, well, bam, it subdivides. That's the fancy term we use for it. So subdivision. Subdivision is where you take your 4 beats and you split it up. So we put notes in between the notes. So we end up with 8 notes in a bar, or potentially up to 8 notes in a bar, hence eighth notes, because they take up an eighth of a bar, without actually changing our speed. So if I take our eighths here, now will this let me just, no, won't let me just click and drag. This isn't going to sound ideal. Let's just fill it all in. So these now are eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and almost went into sixteenths because I'm tired. Hence the coffee sitting in front of me. Great. So how do we actually use this? Well, can I select more than one of these? No. Okay. Delete, delete, delete. I could probably just Control Z through them, but you know what? Old-fashioned way. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? If you're teaching young kids this is your tas and TTs. TT, 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 TT. 16th notes, next layer up, 1 Iana, 2 Iana, or ticka ticka. Whatever works for you, whatever works for your student, etc. But in this case, we aren't talking about students. We are talking about making our own beats as well as understanding it. So in a standard rock beat, now I asked this, like, a much better drummer than myself, why do we do this? His answer was, because we do. It is pretty standard. So that is your standard in a rock song. Now, the snare drum. Snare drums are the loudest drum on the drum kit. Like, you have to try to make them quiet. They're actually difficult to do that. So we use them to represent, most of the time, our accent. You can do actual accents on them, right, of just hitting nice and hard. Now, in classical music, the accent landed on 1, 3. This isn't going to sound good. Okay? But this is where, if you listen to like classical guitar and stuff like that, that's not what we do anymore. Hey, Control Z does work in this. We put it on 2 and 4. That is really important to know, because in dance, hello DJs, in dance music and just the music made to dance to, the eighth note, the snare hit, is where they move. right? So this instantly will give you a bit more of a standard dance sound now that I've got this going. Need to use this down here instead of up here. I need to remember that. Now, kick drum, standard rock beat. I can do more, or I can do less, right? If I can put it here. Right? I can do... Oops. This is your standard 4 on the floor. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2. Right, a little boring. There's kind of nothing you can do wrong in regards to... Oh, that's really annoying. I wonder if there's a way... This doesn't have a hotkey. I wonder if I can hotkey this. Because I can... The stop has a hotkey. The start doesn't. Interesting. Anyway, that or I can remember to hit enter, which I believe... Okay, enter for some reason affects down here. And not up here. I'm still getting used to Mixcraft 10. And I don't do a lot of MIDI programming, so bear with me. I just know a lot about structure. Now, as I mentioned before, this is your standard rock beat, and then you can move the kick drum however much you want. Now, this sounds bad because it's not human. There is in Mixcraft, I can't remember where they put the button. They do have like snap to grid stuff. You can adjust how gridded everything is. They have a lot of other things, and somewhere amongst here, amongst all these buttons, they have like a humanize button. You can also adjust your velocities. Right, we got a lot of stuff going on here. So if I had a pad, right? So those pads you have on your DJ controllers, this is where they originally got their use case was. We would use them for building beats and stuff in the studio, and then people in the studio were getting more and more out at the clubs and stuff like that, and vice versa, right? It was just a crossover of people who were doing both sides of the industry. People wanted pads instead of just buttons. At least that's my assumption. I was DJing when all this stuff kind of evolved, but I wasn't using controllers. I was either using pure laptop or a CD mixer. Gross. Don't do it. Don't go back for nostalgia. Vinyl, maybe. There's a lot of vinyl guys that are getting gigs for being vinyl only. But anyway, there is somewhere usually to humanize it where it'll add a little bit of, like it'll basically move all of these just the tiniest bit off the grid. Don't need to worry about that. But let's get a kick pattern that I like. Actually, before we finish up with here, let's take a look at 16th notes. We're going to stick with this 8th note pattern for our next thing, but I'm just going to zoom in a little more. Well, that's kind of nice. Once you zoom in enough, it starts showing you the actual names. Good job, Mixcraft. Now, there we are. 16th notes. Now, proceed with caution. We're going to leave the kick where we have it, because I like them there. We're not going to do a 4 on the floor pattern, but there are two ways to look at 16th notes when it comes to these. One is these guys here. They've got the two flags coming off of them. They're counted 1-iandas. Stop it. I wish I could. I wonder if the brush tool would let me just paint in a big old roll. So, oh, why did I get rid of my snares? 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a. Now, at this speed, here's why I'm saying be careful with this. That is doable, right? We're at 120 beats per minute. If I increase that to 140, did it work? Oh. I see. I need to change it down here too. So if I go 140, this is also playable, sort of. That's a really, really good drummer. Might be able to pull off that on the hi-hat. But what you can do to make it sound more human is that. Again, it doesn't sound human because of that pause. The reason I say human is if I'm going 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4, I can play that. But if I need to go faster, 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E and a 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4, right? You're going to put both hands up on your closed hi-hat. And you're going to move off and hit your snare. Now, another thing you can do, we've got our open hi-hat somewhere here. There it is. I don't know why they don't put them next to each other. That's kind of annoying, but life goes on. I'm going to get rid of a few of these. Delete, delete. We're going to put in this here. Put an open hi-hat right there. Now, if this works the way it should. Now, any good sequencer worth its salt will know that when you do an open hi-hat, you want to close it when you hit it here. Because if you heard before, when I just hit it on its own, it just kind of rings. A good sequencer will know, no, I want to close it when I hit this. There might be somewhere in this abyss of everything the sound of opening and closing the hi-hat itself. That I don't know. But you can get some cool sounds and stuff using that. So delete. Delete. Right? Even just doing that, honestly, probably going to sound cool. Because the snare and the kick are pretty standard, right? I'd probably go, let's put a kick there and there. Yeah, that's probably going to sound pretty good. Cool, right? There's kind of no wrong way to do it as long as your snares don't move. As soon as you remove the snares from those beats, you have fundamentally changed the feel of the song. Not necessarily a bad thing, something just to be aware of. If I move the snares around or if I add in extra snares, I'm getting into a very different feel. Even though I've already mucked with this a whole bunch, as soon as I go and I do some stuff like this, this is going to feel I mean, it doesn't sound bad, because again, it's all on the grid, but that is a very different feel. A break beat, which does come up a lot in like hip hop and things like that. We'll actually make one in a second, and we're going to use it. They originate, I think most of them come from like Afro-Cuban stuff, and it's used a lot in Motown stuff. Don't quote me on any of that. I was just reading about them recently. But we're going to start from scratch here. Zoom in, so we're just looking at, I just want to look at one beat. Oh, I have to zoom out. That was zoomed in like crazy. There we go. There's my one beat. We're gonna, yeah, we need our 1E and a 2E in is. You can see that here. This is one beat, 1E and a. Where's my closed hi-hat? One. Oh, these. I'm going to keep them as 16th notes just to see the subdivisions. Again, you'd want to humanize these. You'd want them to be slightly off, slightly adjusted, etc. But we're going to do that. We're going to have our kick drum. Let's do a 4 on the floor. That means 1 per beat. So for our snare, now we're going to start with snare. Most of the break beats that I've heard are based around this idea. Right? Very basic version of it. I would do, sticking to our 16ths here. That's going to sound better. Right? A little overdone. Let's do 1 here. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep this here. Now, how? I wonder. It used to just be a button. That said humanize on it. Zoom in, zoom out, velocity note. Freehand. Interesting. This is just me figuring this stuff out. Nothing over here. Step, score, grid snap. Yeah, I can't remember. All right, so let's get, unless, you see I've got somebody here for a bit in the live side of things. Looks like they didn't stick around though. Yeah, if you have any questions on anything we just talked about there, feel free to throw them in the comments. I will do my best. I don't have a lot going on in the live chat today, but thus is the life of a small streamer doing a Monday afternoon educational live stream. So we're going to keep this. I like this one. So I'm going to go here, copy, and I'm going to go paste, paste, paste. I'm going to leave this blank. Paste, paste, paste. I'm also going to paste it here. Okay, so we were using this guy. Now, I saved a second one because we want to make 2 things. We're going to make ourselves 2 fills. Fills are the different part. Right? You can do a full bar fill where 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and. We might do one of those from time to time. But we're going to do a single beat fill. What does that mean? Well, we're only going to have our fill existing right here in this last beat. Oftentimes, this is referred to as a rock break. Now, I'm seeing mid-toms Do I see any high toms? There is a high tom. Oh, why is it all the way up here compared to everything else? Can I get it? Yes. Okay. High tom, mid tom, mid tom, low tom. Now there's two different high toms here. That happens. There's two different low toms here. That happens. A standard drum kit. Remember I was talking about how you got to kind of plan how many hands you have. You also want to plan out, okay, how many, if you're programming drums, how many drums does this drummer have? We're going to do a standard 5-piece. That's snare, tom, 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 kick. So we have a high tom, a mid tom. That sounded very, very similar to me. Low tom, and a snare within the kick, right? So now we have this here. Now, you wouldn't want to use that as a beat. However, copy, paste. We're going to add it to our thing here. Standard song structure. Hey, bringing it back to what I was going to talk about in this. We operate, remember I was talking about 4/4 time before, we tend to operate in 4-bar phrases. I asked my sister about this once. She has 2 degrees compared to my 1 diploma. So I was like, you know what? Maybe she'll know. Why 4-bar phrases? Everything's done in 4-bar phrases. Yeah, we like them. She's taking like master's level courses on some of this stuff. Yeah, we like 4-bar phrases. So you're going to find almost everything is done in 4-bar phrases, which is good because that helps from a DJ perspective. This is good to know. That is why most of the time, if you look at your auto loop, you've got 1 bar, 2 bars, 3 bars, 4 bars. 3 bars is useless. 2 bars has some use. 1 bar, I guess. I don't know why I would do a single bar loop personally. But if you can swing a 4-bar loop, you're set, because then you're going to have your, usually, drums happening at the end here. So we're going to build a bigger fill. So I'm got to go back down here. Now I can't just control the Z this because it will mess with me a little bit. Delete, delete, delete. Now you can do a full bar. I'm not going to. We're going to do a very standard 1 E and a 2 E and a well, we're going to do a 3 E and a 4 E and a fill is the way I'm going to describe it. So basically, half of a bar. Oftentimes when drummers learn this stuff, they learn a full bar fill, and a full bar can get a little taxing to the listener. Your mileage may vary. But high tom, mid tom. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to start on the snare. That's what I messed up on last time. I was like, why about it toms? I just went on this whole rant about how many toms people have. This is why I don't like this layout. Is on sheet music, the middle C is your snare. Let me just bring something up here so I can show you what I mean. Drum notation legend. Hey. Is this one good? No, this one's better. Where? There it is. Whoa. So, your snare is here. Your floor tom is here. So, this fill, thankfully, would normally be written da da da, right? space, space, line, line, space, space, line, line. So I don't know why it got set this way, but we got to live with this. The reason being, this is the standard. Like if I plug, I've got a couple Roland electric drum kits at work. I've dealt with some new X ones that are quite nice. I think Yamaha does this. It's all the same. If you plug the MIDI out of an electric drum kit, these are the notes that have been assigned to the different instruments. But now we have this fill. Oop. It was in a different window when I hit enter. Get back in here. I don't like the sound of this one. I'm not bothering changing the drum kit. I don't know why. That doesn't sound different enough to me. How's that? Oh, and then again, I don't like the structure of this layout. There are some, thankfully, that you can basically score this out proper, and that's my preference. I'm a weirdo. I prefer the score to the sequencer. Low tom. Ha! That should sound right now. Cool. So that's our second fill. Oh, I should have done. Oh, well. Copy. I go in here and paste. Then I go and select all these. Copy. Paste. 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 Paste, paste, paste. So now we have our song structured out here. Cool. Now, everything else here is blank. We're going to fix that in a second. Now, like I said, we want to break everything up into these 4-bar phrases. Basic song structure. Verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. That's what we're going to do. Whoever that is gets to leave a message. I've had so many spam calls today, I'm just not dealing with it anymore. All right. So, in this track above, let us go to library. I want something. Not country rock. I don't feel that. Dark rock. 115. We want to find something that's close to our tempo just for today. I could record something. I'm not going to. I've got a guitar in the room, but I don't really want to make you guys watch me get that all hooked up. Mellow emo rock. Sign me up. Hey, they have fills and stuff too. I have a suspicion the rest of this is going to be useless to me. Okay. Where's like my pop punk? Oh, yeah, no, it's going to be down. Alphabet. Punk rock. Hey, this is more my liking. So, we've got this stuff. Hey, look at that. They're divided into 8-bar and 4-bar phrases. Isn't that great? Now, you can go in, and these are all editable. But I can go in. All right, so let's do drum smashy ride. Do they have phrase A? I'm going to spend half a stream just looking for the song kit I want to use just to do a simple demo. Heavy rock. This is going to be closer to what I'm looking for. I just want like palm muted. Oh, rhythm guitar. Here we go. It might be too heavy for what I'm looking for. Welcome to Dan's Indecision. I don't want to do jazz because jazz is probably classic rock. Here we go. Now, are these guitar riffs? Are any of these rhythm? So this is going to get shifted around like crazy as soon as I bring this in, but life is on. If I shift it around, I mean it's going to end up in a different key. Cool. So we're going to do this one for 4 bars. Oh, or, sorry, not 4. 8. And then we're going to do guitar riff 2 again. And then guitar riff 4 again. So here's what I mean by song structure. I'm doing these in batches of 8 bars with our fills. Did I? Yeah, I've got different fills happening every other one. Okay. Now, you would go in, your ideal would be to go in and change up your fills at each spot, but this is like a quick demo, right? I'm not going to, I spent enough time looking for what I wanted to do here. Then chorus. Verse, right? That is your standard structure. Now, pre-chorus can be a bar, can be 4 bars, right? That's where you have a lot of wiggle room to really screw with this stuff if you're doing something funkier. Again, if you're doing like beat production, right? This wouldn't really be something, well, I don't listen to modern rap, so I don't actually know. They might be doing stuff like this. If I was doing this for a rapper, I'd be doing something a bit different in terms of how I'd fill this all in. But again, demo here, and I'm more of a rock guy. Now we get to, though, so we've got verse, chorus, verse, chorus. We want our bridge here. So we're going to mess around with this a little bit. We're going to do bass break. Oh, I need to add a new pop-up here. Add audio track. I'm going to move it up to here. Now, because I know where I want this, we're going to pop that there for 2 bars. And that's for a reason. Riff 1. Riff 2. That sounds like it's supposed to go with these. Now, again, this is the half-assed way. I'm well aware. You can do this way more intricately. You can do this way better. What do bass 4 sound like? We're going to use that during this section. Oop. And I will show you why in a second. Okay, and we'll just take riff 1. We'll slam it here. And slam it here for our verses. Go in, fill it in, fill it in, fill it in, fill it in. This is going to be awkward here, but this is on purpose. Because I saw guitar solo. 6 bars. A little awkward and weird. Ooh, we're going to throw it right. There. Backtrack on that. And then we're going to do, let me grab this and this. Oh no, I want chorus. So this and this. We have a song. Look at that. I haven't even listened to this guitar solo, but I know this is going to work. I don't know why it clips out all of this stuff. I don't know why. So this would be your chorus section. Back into a verse. Because again, you can feel that it's supposed to be changing sections. You've heard enough music, everybody has. But you can't always mess with it, right? Pre-chorus, post-chorus, all that stuff. And then we need a bridge. Right? I would have... It's a good solo, but it's short. I would have done probably something longer there. Exciting. This is your basic song structure. 4-bar phrases divided into verses and choruses with a bridge, right? If you're British or if you are in a musical theater, it's often referred to as the middle 8. I don't know why that's a British thing, at least as far as I can tell. I've got a Brit buddy that whenever we play a bridge, he's like, yeah, the middle 8. I mean, middle 8. Okay. But that's your basic song structure. Now, from a production standpoint, this is an important thing to know because, yeah, if you're trying to, like, this is the box. If you're trying to make something that is predictable but in a good way, this is how you do it. You think in 4-bar phrases. You think in drum patterns that don't have, a big fill every 4 bars. They have a small fill every 4 and a bigger one on the 8th. You then think in, okay, verse, chorus, I need some type of bridge, and then end it with some type of chorus again. That is your predictable, here's a pop song, here's a rock song. If you want it to be more unique, more original, do something different, go outside of that. It is actually that simple. This, like I said, when we talk about music theory, this structure has been around for, who knows how long. Yeah, so there is a structure called sonata form. I'm seeing if I can find a good infographic on it. Not particularly, but yeah, like we've done this A B C A or B structure for who knows how long, because it works and because it does what we need it to do. So again, if you're scoring something up for say a rapper, you'd use obviously different loops, probably potentially a different tempo. But yeah, that's hopefully ties this all together. If you learn how to program your own drums and how to structure your drums, you will likely then learn how to structure the rest of the song. And then from there, you start going and experimenting more and moving out from the ordinary as much as you feel it needs it, right? It doesn't always need it. If I was writing a pop or rock song, this would be perfectly fine going verse, chorus, problem solved. Now that said, this is how do I display? There's a way to show time instead of there it is. Yeah, that's only like a minute and a half, right? And for like a rock song, that's plenty. You'd probably do 16 bar verses with 8-bar choruses and a bit of a longer bridge, etc. Pre-chorus, intro, all that. Those are all at your disposal. But yeah, simply put, if you learn, like if you're looking to make your own beats, learn the drums and stuff. If you're a DJ and you're just thinking like song structure, right? This is why you can't just beat match and call it a day. It'll kind of work if you're just doing a simple blend. But if you're trying to do something fancy, chances are you want it to come in phrased similarly. So you don't have, like, say I do a 4-bar loop. I'm going to use it to exit out of this song. Like, I've got song A, song B. I'm going to use this 4-bar loop to fade in, and then I'm going to exit the loop so that it keeps going. I want to make sure that when I start bringing that 4-bar loop in, I'm starting on bar 1 of a 4-bar phrase in the song I'm going out of. Or else I'm going to end up giving a correct timing in terms of 1 and 2 and, or 1 and a 2 and, but an incorrect phrasing, and now all of a sudden you've created a 5-bar phrase or a 6-bar phrase or a 2 and a 4, which 2-bar phrase followed by a 4-bar phrase is fine. That can work. But odd numbers tend to feel odd. We're not used to it. Yeah. So from a DJ perspective, that is why this stuff is good to know. From a producer perspective, like I said, start learning to program your own drums, right? There are so many drum sequencers out there. You don't even need a DAW for it. I do recommend Mixcraft here because I like it. This looks very, I believe Ableton Live looks a lot like this from what I've been told. But I got this for cheap. And I like it. It is Windows only. So a lot of you out there who are doing stuff on Apple because Apple is good, don't get me wrong, but also because Apple is what you're going to find you're going to often be recommended from a DJ or production standpoint. It kind of pushes this to the wayside, unfortunately. But and then, yeah, like I said, I've just been copy pasting loops and stuff in. Sometimes that works. It's better to go in and program it yourself. All that I've shown in a previous video in Mixcraft here, you can go in and on these monophonic things, so like this bass line, say I like this bass line, but I want to make it more my own, I can turn that into a MIDI file and then run a different bass VST over it and stuff like that. But yeah, summary again. Think in 4/4 to start. You can start eventually if you want to do some 6/8 or 3/4 or whatever. Cool, but I'm talking 4/4 because it is common time. Build your drum loop up thinking in 4-bar phrases. Even if you don't want, like, I know in a lot of hip hop and stuff I've listened to doesn't have as much for the fills as like a rock band tends to do, especially because a lot of especially modern rap and just as a whole, oftentimes it's not a real drummer. It's almost always programmed. So they're not thinking in this way. If you want it to sound more natural, have a small fill every 4 bars, bigger fill every 8, and then like go in and do a bigger fill right before you switch from verse to chorus, like that kind of thing. Once you have that structured out, think in 4-bar phrases for which are going to naturally happen because you've got your drums structured out. You're good to go. And then, yeah, like I said, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus is your standard pop song. Doesn't have to be. I mean, we've been doing, blues for how many years? And blues is usually done in 12-bar sections and usually doesn't have necessarily a verse. It can, but or a verse chorus structure. It usually doesn't. If it does, they're usually doing like 8-bar verse, 4-bar chorus. There are some songs that have a random 5-bar phrase in them just to give it a different feel, a unique thing, right? You just heart's content, screw around with this stuff. And pre-chorus, intros, outros, that type of thing. Yeah. But yeah, that is the basics of making your own drum beats, making them cohesive, making them work. Like I say, humanizing them, especially for rock and things like that. Very, very important, but not so much for other genres, depending on the feel, right? If you're trying for an older school vibe, humanize your drums as much as possible. Trying for a modern vibe, they're oftentimes using programmed drums anyway, so it's okay to have it sound a little robot-y. And yeah, that's kind of it. That's your basic song structure, basic, like, again, it's just structures on top of structures on top of structures. What I mean by that is we've got, right down to a beat that can be split up into as many as technically it's infinite number, but usually we do, eighth notes. You split the beat in half. 16th notes. You split the beat into 4. Then we have our 4-bar phrases that we then use to structure our verses and choruses, and then we structure them throughout the song. It's just structures built on top of each other. That's what keeps it cohesive. That's what keeps it normal. Go outside of that if you want it to be different, right? You're doing prog rock stuff, right? Doing some polyrhythms where, okay, so I'm going to play in 7/4 and you're going to play in 3/4, and then that way we line up every X amount of bars. Do it, heart's content, have fun. But for standard stuff, this is more what I'm getting at, especially, and if you're starting out, can be good to figure out what the box is, so then you can think outside of it. This is the box. Is, verses and choruses in 4-bar phrases, like keep everything into multiples of 4, maybe doing a 2-bar pre-chorus or something like that. Even a 1-bar, but that can even feel a little weird. For dance music, and I don't just mean people dancing in, a club or something like that, like dancers, they tend to think in 8 bars at a time. So you sometimes want to keep that in mind of, I'm putting this together for them. Think in Still multiple 4s, but think more 8-bar phrases for drums and things like that. Like, be careful not to do like anything much smaller than that for them. And going too outside of the box for that can mess with them, unless it is specifically for like, hey, this is being choreographed. We want 5-bar phrases so that, or a 5-bar phrase every X amount of phrases so that we can do this cool thing. Like, if you're choreographing something like and planning the music for it, you can do stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, for DJs out there, as in like live DJing versus like beat production, this stuff can be really, really useful to know. Of like, how long is a 4-bar phrase? You want to feel that. How long is a chorus? You want to feel that. Is it coming up on a change? Right? I can listen to a song on the radio and I know when the chorus is going to kick in. You probably can too. You might not have thought about it. So listen to a lot of music, pay attention to the phrasing in it, and that will help immensely for this type of stuff. Listen to weird stuff, listen to normal stuff, and just go from there. Figure it out. Awesome. Okay. Oh, I didn't record this one. Oops. Oh, well. I might do a video on this, but I'm going to keep this VOD up. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to get at today. I'm going to switch back to here. You all have a good day whenever you happen to see this. Thanks to those who did pop through. We had a few live viewers today, which is always nice to see. Let me know if you want more like music structure, theory, that kind of stuff, because I do have a fair background in it. I'm not a music theorist by any point or any stretch of the imagination. I know quite a bit about this stuff thanks to my schooling and my practical application of it. But yeah, we'll see how this video does. That'll kind of tell me if people care about this stuff or not. But this keeps us under an hour. That's what I want. Long form, but not long form. So, my life is a little more mellowed out as of late. So, some videos hopefully coming in the near future. I had some recorded. I wasn't happy with them. So, that's why there's been a drought of pre-recorded stuff on the channel. Some of that is coming. Got some more lighting reviews coming in the near future. Getting into some sound switch stuff as well, because I've been using that a bunch and picked that up at on a sale for Black Friday. And I've been using it every gig since. I was using it prior to that, but now I am much more ingrained into using it just like all the time. Yeah. So yeah, got a few videos coming up. Might do some guitar reviews finally. Maybe guitar amp. I don't know yet. Possibly some plug-in reviews. That actually will probably be coming sooner. Though I might do those live on here and then do a then chop up and do a video. We'll see. We'll see. But thanks again, everybody, for coming by. It was fun on my end. Hopefully it was for you too.